Good morning, everyone. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm in the Client Training and Education Department, and it is a pleasure to be here with all of you in this Getting Started with TradeStation Platform. We're going to take the next 60 minutes to talk about TradeStation, some of the functionality that it's on the platform, to help you do charting, trading, and scanning as easy as possible. Before we get started, there's some information that I wanted to explain to everyone. The Getting Started with TradeStation is a 3-part class. Right now, we're going to do the TradeStation Platform, but there's two other classes that we do as part of the series, the Web and Mobile and OptionStation Pro. Right after the Trading Platform class today at 12 p.m., we're going to do the Web and Mobile, where we show you how to access your TradeStation account and how to monitor and adjust orders by using our web trading application and also our mobile app. If you haven't registered for the web and mobile piece of the Getting Started, there is a Register Now button that you'll see below the video player right on this page. So again, if you haven't registered, click on that Register Now button and it'll allow you to register for the follow-up class. It's a 30-minute presentation on web and mobile. All right, so let me bring this down. I also wanted to make sure that everyone that is here is aware that the chat that we're using for this presentation is a YouTube application that is public and is open to everyone, not only to the people that are connected with us today, but also to anyone that watches the recording of this presentation. So make sure that you're aware that this is a public venue and do not share any private information that you don't want to be public. I also wanted to share with you some disclosures. Here they are. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about here today is for educational purposes only. It is not a recommendation, and that active trading is not suitable for everyone, and it should only be done with risk capital. For more information about these disclosures, go to TradeStation.com and you'll find the disclosures at the bottom of the page, or you can hover over this video player and there should be a content card that it'll link you to our disclosures as well. All right, let me bring this down. One more thing that I wanted to touch on is that the chat is open for you to communicate with me. If you have any questions on any of the functionality that I'm describing, or if you want a little bit more clarification, feel free to submit questions in the chat, and I'll be glad to take those live as I go through the content. But let me go ahead and switch over to my TradeStation platform so that we can see and get into the real content of this class. So give me just a moment while I switch my screen. Here we are. You should be able to see my TradeStation platform. It is TradeStation 10. If your TradeStation looks a little bit different than the one that I'm using right now, it's probably because you're using an older version. This is the new TradeStation, and everyone that uses TradeStation should be already enabled for this new version. Go to the download page and see if you can get it downloaded and installed on your computer. Also, if you don't see it, make sure you contact our technical support team. Technical support team is always available for any technical issues or any questions that you may have on the platform. So feel free to call them. I'm going to have my colleague here send those phone numbers on the chat so that you can have them if you really need to talk to technical support. Okay? If you already registered, I see the question. You don't have to register again. We're going to use the same page that you linked to, which is a TradeStation Getting Started Live page. It'll just refresh with the new presentation. All right, so I see some comments about audio, and my colleague here is going to tell them to just refresh the page or the browser and see if that kicks in. Remember, this is a presentation that is delivered via YouTube, so it's the same technology. If you're able to see YouTube videos, you should be able to see this presentation as well. What you see on the screen right now, it's called the TradeStation Today workspace. If you don't know how to get it, or if you saw it the first time you logged in and you don't see it again, it is available by hovering your mouse over the apps button right here at the top left corner of the platform, and you're going to find a TS Today button right there as part of the drop down. So if you ever lose the TradeStation Today workspace, to get it, just grab your mouse pointer. Here's my mouse pointer. Go here to the top left, hover over apps, and then the TS Today button is right in there. The TS Today workspace is a very convenient way of knowing what's happening at TradeStation. First, we have this box on the left-hand side with a featured video. The video that is highlighted today, it is the TradeStation Masterclass. I want to take this opportunity to invite everyone to the TradeStation Masterclass. Please watch the video. There is a link that my colleague is going to send over in the chat that provides more details about what the Masterclass is. It's an in-person live event right here in the headquarters of TradeStation in Plantation, Florida, and we are inviting all TradeStation users to join us next week. It's November 12th through November 16th or 17th. It's Friday. It's Monday through Friday. I'm not sure what the dates are, but it does start November 12th. Click on that link so that you can get more information about that class. Right there is the link in the chat. Right here in the middle, we have the TradeStation social feed. Right now, it's not uploading for me or not loading, but that's fine. You're going to see the TradeStation tweets right there in the middle. And over here on the right-hand side, we have a calendar of events. You can click on the dates right here on the right-hand side, and you can see what events are coming up in the calendar, and you have a very convenient register button right there that'll allow you to register for any of those events. So TradeStation today, again, it's a very interesting workspace. It does allow you to be in touch with what's happening at TradeStation every single day. At the bottom left, we have some boxes that provide you sample workspaces that we made part of the TradeStation platform. It does not mean that those are the ones that you should use. It just means that those are ideas on how you can set up your TradeStation workspaces. You can open them up and see if you like them and maybe build on them, modify them if that's your choice, or start from scratch, which is what we're going to do in this class. We're going to start our workspaces from scratch. Let me go ahead and remove my drawing tool here, and I'm going to start off with a brand new workspace. If everybody looks at the bottom left of my TradeStation platform, right there in the corner, there's a little plus, which allows me to create new workspace, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take my cursor, click on the plus down there, and you can see that the tab is called Untitled Workspace, and I'm able to open up new applications right here on my TradeStation. To find the applications, take your cursor to the top left, hover over apps, and you find every application that you can open up on the TradeStation platform. I'm going to start off with a chart analysis window. Chart analysis is one of the buttons in here. Every time you click on chart analysis, you're going to get a chart window. So right now I just clicked on chart analysis and it opens up a window for me. Very easy, very straightforward. It loads up a chart. It's a 5-minute chart on the last symbol that I was looking at. If you look on the top left corner, you can see the symbol. I was looking at natural gas this morning, and that's what gets loaded. So the chart will always open up on the last symbol that you were looking at. If I need a second chart, I just go to the apps again, and I click on chart analysis a second time. So every time that you need a chart, it doesn't matter how many times or how many chart analysis windows you need, just go to the apps, click on chart analysis, and that'll open up a window for you. These are chart windows that can be dragged by clicking on the title bar, and you can position them in any location inside this workspace. I can also click on any of the corners, and I can resize this chart to be any shape and form that I want inside of this workspace as well. So as you can see, the workspace is very customizable, and you can make the workspace work for you. So it's very interesting how you can adjust your windows automatically. If I do want to arrange them automatically and let TradeStation find a space for each one of them, I usually go to the window menu right here on the top left of TradeStation, and I click on Arrange All. Once I do that, you can see how quickly TradeStation finds a space for each one of my applications, and it arranges them in a way that fills up the whole workspace area. Sometimes I feel that's convenient. Sometimes I prefer to resize the windows manually. It's up to you. But I just wanted to show you this organizational tool that will make things easier when you want to organize these windows. Let me get rid of one of these charts because I only need one. I'm going to show you a few things in charting, and then we'll jump over to trading. So let me resize this window so that it fills the whole screen, and let's talk about navigating on the chart analysis window. Let me see if there's any questions so far about the functionality. All right. No questions about the functionality yet, so I'm just going to continue on showing you some features. The first thing that I'd like to show you is how to expand and how to reduce the view of the historical data. Take a look at what happens when I press the up arrow key multiple times. The up arrow key on the keyboard. If you press that key on your keyboard, up arrow, multiple times, you'll see how the candles or the bars in the chart will expand, and you can see more detail of the candles. If you press the down arrow key multiple times, you'll see how the chart compresses, and you can see more of the historical data. So depending on which way you want to go, up arrow increases the bar spacing, down arrow on the keyboard compresses or reduces the bar spacing. First tip. Second tip is changing the symbol. As I told you at the very beginning, we look at the top left corner. I'm looking at natural gas. The easiest way for you to change the symbol is by using your keyboard and typing it in. Let's suppose I want to see a chart of Bank of America. I'm going to type in BAC, which is the symbol of Bank of America, and I want you to take a look at what happened right here in the middle of my chart. There's a box that popped up automatically. I didn't have to pull it up. As soon as I started typing, the command line shows up. And as you can see right there inside the box, BAC shows up because that's what I typed in. This is something that happens automatically, and you can see that TradeStation is responsive to keyboard commands. As soon as you start typing, it'll assume that that's a command. So all I need to do is hit the enter key on my keyboard to take that symbol change, and there it goes. It changes the symbol to Bank of America. And this is true for every application in TradeStation. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a chart analysis, if you're looking at a matrix. If you want to change the symbol of any application, type the symbol in, hit enter, and it should load up on your window. Okay? All right, so I see a question here. Can you drag a chart to another monitor? Technically, you cannot. You cannot take this window and drag it to another monitor. But if you open up another TradeStation desktop, you can. And TradeStation gives you the ability to create multiple desktops and multiple monitors. In fact, when you first install TradeStation, TradeStation recognizes how many monitors are on your computer, and it'll open up, or it'll try to open up, a TradeStation on each one of your monitors. So if you want to have a chart on a separate monitor that is connected to your computer, all you need to do is come over here to the top left, File, Desktops, and create a new desktop. And right here I just have one monitor, but if you had multiple monitors and you went through these menu items, New Desktop will provide you another instance of TradeStation running on the same computer but on a different monitor. And then it makes it very convenient when you have this multiple monitor setup to have TradeStation on all your monitors. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and continue. I do see a question here. It's can you get this stuff before you have money in the account? I suppose you mean TradeStation. I would recommend you talk to one of our account representatives. They are aware of all the promotions that are going on, and if there's a demo version of TradeStation, they'll explain it to you. So call them up and ask about how you can get TradeStation without funding an account. I'm not sure if it's possible at this time. I believe it is not. So you do need a TradeStation account to access the platform, but you can install. One thing that you can do is install the TradeStation mobile app on your phone and take it for a test drive. Okay, one question here. Are chart drawings shared on different desktops? When you draw something on a chart, and we're going to get to drawing in a little moment, it is exclusive to that chart. So to answer the question directly, no, it is not possible to share drawings from one chart to the other. They'll have to be drawn on each one of the charts individually. Okay? Now, I see a question here. It says, why can't I link my chart from desktop 1 to desktop number 2? We haven't talked about linking yet, but if you're looking to link windows, and this is for everyone here that is in this class, linking here in TradeStation allows you to link windows by symbol and by interval. And this allows you to change a symbol on one of the windows and have all the other windows that are linked to this one to change symbols automatically, and I think that's very convenient. Now, if you have windows on separate desktops, you have to make sure that the link is a global link. Let me show you. Right here at the top right corner, we have the linking buttons. On my screen, let me bring down my camera. Okay, right here, the top right corner, you see the linking buttons. There's an S for symbol and an I for symbol. If you click on the little drop down of the button, you're going to get multiple options with different colors, but I want to point out that some of these links say local and the ones towards the bottom say global. So make sure that you set the windows to global if you're creating a link across multiple desktops. Question, is it possible to change the color scheme of the desktop? We don't have an overall desktop theme. At the moment, TradeStation only has this dark theme, but we're working on creating more themes for you. Like have a lighter theme that has a white background, which is something that a lot of you prefer. However, if you do not like the dark background as it's shown at the moment, you can always double click on the background and go to the color tab, and you can change the color of pretty much every item right here on your TradeStation desktop. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. By the way, somebody's asking about $99 a month. Make sure you contact your account representatives. We have different pricing plans. Some pricing plans include a monthly fee, some others do not. So make sure that you talk to a person in the accounts department so that you can find out what the different pricing plans are. Questions from the chat. Are drawings saved after you log out of TradeStation? They are. Every time that you draw something on a chart, make sure that you save the workspace. One thing to point out here, this is something for everyone here. At the bottom left of my TradeStation, you can see that the tab says Untitled Workspace. So it is not saved to my TradeStation platform yet. So all the changes that I've made are not saved. But right-click on that tab that says Untitled Workspace and Save Workspace. It'll prompt me for a name. I'm going to call this my chart. Save this. And there it is. The tab now is named My Chart, and it's saved to my computer. So next time that I log into TradeStation, then I'll be able to have this workspace open up for me automatically. All right. All right, let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to go over here to my TradeStation. I already showed you how to expand and how to contract the chart by using the up arrow and the down arrow keys on your keyboard. I already showed you how to change the symbol by typing the new symbol and hitting the enter key. Let's change the time frame. As you can see, this is a 5-minute chart, and we have a very convenient time frame drop down right here inside the chart. Very first button, we have very commonly used time intervals. Let's say that we want to do a daily chart, and then this turns the chart into a daily right here on my screen. One thing that you also see on my screen is that I have all these little arrows on the candles. I've used Bank of America as an example in my trading. So it shows a lot of trading activity, and this is something that is turned on automatically in charting. So all your historical trades will show up on the chart so you can see where you entered and exited the market. Now sometimes you may want to disable that so that you can do some additional analysis. Something simple to do. I'm just going to right click on any of these single arrows and then select this option that says disable account orders and positions. So this is disconnecting my chart analysis from my trading activity, and you can see how those arrows, they disappear. If you want to turn that feature on, just come up here to the settings button, and you can go to account orders and positions and just check the status on. So make that exercise on your TradeStation, and you're going to see how that information comes on and off. Let's go ahead and continue on. Another thing that I want to show you is how to do some technical studies or how to do some technical analysis. Right here at the top of your TradeStation chart, you're going to find studies. And this is where you find every single analysis technique or indicator that you may want to apply to the chart, whatever it is. If it's Bollinger Bands, MACD, RSI, they are all available from studies and add study. And you can see the whole list once you go there. So feel free to take some time and go through the whole list. A lot of these items that you find here have documentation in TradeStation. So if you see something that you're not really sure how it's calculated, for example, ulcer index, you can highlight and then click on definition right here below, and it'll provide you a document explaining how the indicator should be interpreted. All right? Perfect. I see a question here about how to run TradeStation on a 4K display. TradeStation will just adjust automatically to a 4K display. In fact, the computer that I'm using right now is a 4K monitor, and you can see how TradeStation shows up, and it'll just adjust the sizing for you. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the technical analysis. And by the way, I see a follow-up question on the trading activity. I'm not canceling any trades. I'm just hiding historical information. What I just did with the account, orders, and positions. I mean, your trading activity is still there. You're just disconnecting the chart from your trading activity so that it's not visible. I had a lot of historical trades, and since I'm going to apply an indicator, I just wanted to hide those arrows so that I can concentrate on my analysis. One of the indicators that I'm going to use, and I use the same indicator in every class to keep the concepts simple, is a moving average 2-line. So this is a moving average 2-line. Each of the lines will have its own period of calculation. So let's go ahead and put it on the screen. As soon as I put the 2-line moving average on the screen, you can see that the 2 lines show up. They're right there. And we're looking for the crossovers. Now, we didn't have to supply parameters because every indicator or every study in TradeStation has default parameters. And that is something that you're going to see every time that you insert a study. However, as a TradeStation user, you have full control over how this indicator is calculated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the indicator so that it has the values that I want. I want a 30-bar moving average versus a 50-bar moving average. So I'm just going to double click on the indicator, and this is something that I use a lot, is a double click on the item that I want to modify. I think earlier in the class I showed you that if you want to modify the background, you double click on the background and it takes you to this dialog titled Customize Window. If you double click on the indicator on the lines, it takes you to a different dialog. It takes you to, see, this one took me to the same dialog, so I did it wrong. So I have to make sure that I double click on the line. So if I double click on the line, it takes me to this dialog, which is Customize Indicator. So make sure that you are in the dialog that you want to modify. That makes it easy to find the features that you're looking for. In this case, I'm going to go to the inputs, and this is where I modify the calculation of the study. Here I see the fast length is by default 9. I'm going to change that to 30. And the slow length is 18. I'm going to change that to 50. And I'm just going to click OK right here at the bottom. As soon as I do that, you can see how the 2 lines, they change. And you can see how the crossovers change as well, because I'm changing the way that it's being calculated. This is true for every study. So this is the only example that I'm going to show you, but the procedure is the same. In order for you to change the parameters of the calculation, you can double click on any of the lines of the indicator, and then you can modify the indicator that way. You can also go to Studies if you want to go through the menus and click on Edit Studies. That is going through the menus to get to that same dialog that you would get if you would just double click on the lines, okay? I have some questions here in the chat. Okay. Somebody's asking about the 2 buttons on the top right corner. If you're looking at the linking buttons, they are always there on the top on the title bar. So they should be there. If they're not, if something is not working for you, I may not be able to troubleshoot your TradeStation platform right here in this live demonstration, but make sure you contact our technical support department. They'll be glad to take your call and help you out on your issues. Okay, if I have 2-line moving average on my chart, how do I add a third one? It seems to overlap on the previous one. Yeah, if you're adding studies and the studies use the same parameters, yeah, they're going to overlap on top of each other. So make sure that you change the parameters of each one of the lines so that they are different from each other. So always remember to go to Studies, click on Edit Studies, and then you can modify the parameters by going to the inputs of each one. This is a simple moving average. We have some exponential moving averages in the list. So if you wanted to choose or use exponential instead of the simple moving averages, it's up to you. Just go to Studies, add Studies, and you'll find the exponential in there as well. Okay? We don't have email support at the moment, and this is to answer one of the questions in the chat. So if you want to get support, you can do it either by calling or by chatting. So there is chat online, and if you go to the TradeStation website, you'll find the chat little icon on the right-hand side if you want to chat with someone online. Okay, so we have this study right here on the screen. We already changed it to 30 and 50. So what we're looking for is for the lines to cross over. The idea or the concept behind the moving averages is for the two lines cross, and at that moment it indicates that there could be a change in price trend. Okay, so ideally when I look at moving averages, I'm trying to find when the two lines cross. Looking at this chart of Bank of America, this is a daily chart, so let me open this up a little bit. A daily chart, you know the two lines are pretty far from each other. But if they start getting closer to each other, in fact, if they cross at any specific moment, I want to be alerted. But I don't want to sit here in front of this chart and looking at it at all times. So what I do is I double click on the indicator. This is, again, we're going to customize the indicator. And this is something that is true for every study that is part of the platform. There is an alerts tab. So in the alerts tab, I'm going to enable the alert so that if those two lines cross, I'm going to be notified that that happened. Here I can change the way that I'm being notified. Let me just say alert once per bar. And I want to use some messaging, which I can configure, and I can choose my sound. I can choose the way that the visual appears, and I can even set up an email to be sent to my email address, or even text message. If TradeStation also sends text messages over to your phone, if that's the way that you set this up. If you need help configuring, your alert settings, always contact technical support, and they'll help you with that as well. Okay, so I've just turned on the alert. I clicked OK, and now those two lines are monitoring the price activity. As soon as they cross, I should hear a sound and I should get a pop-up window letting me know that the lines have crossed. But by turning on the alert, I'm able to go somewhere else. I'm able to maybe create in another workspace, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to come down here to the bottom left. I'm going to click on the plus right there, and I'm going to open up an untitled workspace. So here I could be working on something else, and I can be assured that those moving averages that I turned on the alert on are going to be monitoring the price activity, and as soon as the alert criteria is met, I'm going to be notified. In this workspace, on this untitled workspace, I'm going to open up my preferred order entry tool. So I'm going to go over here to the apps, and I'm going to click on Matrix. Matrix is a great window to submit trades. I'm going to show you some great functionality right here using the Matrix. All right. By the way, at the top of the TradeStation platform, if you hover over Trade, you're going to find a very intuitive and very common order bar where you can submit orders as well. If you want to buy or sell something, you can use a trade bar at the top. The Matrix that I just opened up right now is a one-click order entry window. It allows you to submit trades by just clicking once. Sometimes I like that functionality because I feel it's a little bit faster, it's a little bit more efficient. TradeStation offers you different ways in which you can submit your orders. And as a trader, you're going to have to choose the one that is most comfortable to you. Okay, I'm going to show you the Matrix. If you like the matrix, you can stick with it. Or if you want to use other order entry tools, we have others in place as well. Like for example, chart trading. I also think that chart trading is a great way to submit orders, but because of time, I only have time to show you one, and I'm going to show you how to trade on the matrix. Let me see if we have some questions here. Let's see. Okay. I didn't show you any drawing tools. I see somebody's asking how to draw Fibonacci's on the chart. By the way, let me go back one step before I start trading here on the matrix. I'm going to come down here to my TradeStation chart. And if you want to draw on the chart, you have a drawing menu right here at the top. And all the drawing tools are available there. Somebody wanted me to draw the Fibonacci, so I'm just going to go here to the Fibonacci price retracement lines. I'm going to click them. And the way that I draw them is by maybe clicking on a low point and then dragging them to a high point, and that draws the Fibonacci retracements right there on the screen. You can see them right there. Okay, so it's interesting that you do that by just clicking a low and a high. You can do it from the high to the low depending on which way you want the calculations to happen, and these draws the Fibonacci retracements on the line. On the chart. And one more thing you can do is you can turn on alerts here as well. This is true for every drawing tool in TradeStation. So if I double click on the lines of the Fibonacci, it takes me to this dialog, which is customize the Fibonacci price retracement lines. I go to the alerts tab and I enable the alert the same way that I did on my indicator. So this is really cool. And you can do this with any drawing tool that you use on a chart analysis window. All right, so let me leave this chart here. Again, drawing tools are right here on the top of the chart. Just click on drawing and you find all the tools in there. Perfect. Let's go over here to my matrix. A question from the chat is how to show depth, and I believe you're referring to the values that you see in the blue and the red. Let's go ahead and give you a little bit of geography of what's happening here in my matrix. First of all, the price right here in the middle, that's the current trading price of Bank of America. I know that it's trading at $28.09. And the value you see there on the left is the size of the last trade. You also see the blue column, which are the buyers. And the red column are the sellers. What does that mean? Well, if you submit an order to buy Bank of America and you do it at a low price, your order is going to be held by the market makers and ECNs. So what you see here in this blue column is the number of shares that are waiting to get filled at each one of the price levels you see here in the middle column. That's very, very impressive. And that's information that you can use to see what is the interest out there for Bank of America. If you see a lot of activity going on the buy side, that could tell you where the price may be headed. The same thing happens here on the red side. These are traders that want to sell Bank of America, and what you see inside the sell is pretty much the number of shares that are being offered at each one of the price levels right here in the middle column. If you want to see those numbers, those are additional data packages that you need to turn on. Okay, so if you don't see the numbers inside the blue or inside the red, that's probably because your account is not enabled for what's called level 2 or market depth. And you can turn that on by going to the website, logging into the client center, and there you will see a link that says add or remove data packages. So you can turn those on in your account if you want to do that. Okay. Now, changing the symbol right here on the matrix is the same way we did it in charting. Remember, we type the symbol in, hit enter, and it changes it. But for this example, I'm going to put in some trades for Bank of America. Let me check to see if I don't have any positions yet on Bank of America. I didn't point to this before, but if you look at the top of your TradeStation, there's something called the position graph bar. And if you take your cursor and you put it on position graph, it's going to drop down a little bar with information of some of the popular indexes, but it also shows you a little box for open positions in your account. I like to have, the position graph bar at the top of my TradeStation at all times because I like to keep an eye on what my positions are doing. So there's a push pin right here on the left-hand side that allows me to dock it to the top. That way my positions are always displayed at the top, and I can quickly react if I need to pay attention to them. For example, this position right here for the symbol FISV is making about $776. You can see the real-time P&L inside the box. My KO position is making about $12,000. Now, if I want to capture that profit, I can do it quickly right here from the position graph bar, which I find very convenient. I can right-click, close this position, and I'm going to say Send Now at Market. And you can see how the KO little box disappeared because now I don't have a position open. I closed it at market. In fact, if you look at the bottom of my TradeStation, right where my cursor is down here, you can see that my closed P&L is about $12,000. I just closed the trade, and you can see the total down there that was credited to my account. Okay. Now, a question here. Well, let's say when I change the time frame. Time frame stays if you save the workspace. Just remember, saving the workspace saves all the changes that you've made. And if you want a cursor is, let's say that I want to buy 1,000 shares. So I'm going to come over here to the right. I'm going to change the quantity to 1,000. And then I'm going to come back to the buyer side, hover over the blue that corresponds to the 2805. You can see where my cursor is. And you can also see to the left-hand side that it says buy 1,000 limit. So as soon as I click here, the order is submitted. Notice that I removed my cursor away from the column, and I can still see that blue box right here on the left-hand side. This blue box is my buy order for 1,000 shares. I like the matrix because I can see that order in relationship to what's happening to the current market activity. You can see if it's getting closer, if it's getting further away. You can also see where your order is in relationship to other orders in there. If I want to cancel that order, take your mouse cursor, put it on top of the box, click it once, and the order goes away. One thing that you're not seeing on my matrix is confirmations, because I've disabled confirmations just for demonstration. But every time you click on the matrix, you get this very nice confirmation window letting you know about what is it you're going to do, what is it you're about to buy or sell. So sometimes confirmations are great because during the learning process, you at least have a visual of what's going to happen in your account. That is disabled in my matrix, and if you pay attention to that confirmation window, there's going to be a little box right there below that tells you if you want to disable that. At the beginning, I do recommend that you have confirmations on at all times, but if you're the type of trader that wants to click and send the order right away without having to confirm again, you can always disable it if you want to. I'm going to put in that order again at 2805. You see the order right there. We know how to cancel it by clicking on it. But what if I wanted to change that order? Originally, I wanted to buy at 2805, but I know that Bank of America right now, if you look at the price, is trading at 2816. So it's moving away from my order. I want to readjust my order, but instead of sending it again, I can use click and drag to change that trade. And this is something very convenient that happens on the matrix and also on chart trading. I'm going to click my box and drag it up. I'm going to drag it up to 2815. Right there. And I'm just going to drop it there. Clicking and dragging cancels the original order and enters a new one. Doesn't get any easier than that. Clicking and dragging changes your price automatically. So right now, my order is sitting right there at 2815. If the sellers, these are the sellers right here. There we go. The sellers came down to the price that I wanted, and I got filled. I get this visual. This blue horizontal line is going to tell me where I got filled at, and that's my average price, $28.15. And notice here on the left-hand side, because this is very, very useful. Right here on the left-hand side, you see real-time P&L. You also see a new box up here for Bank of America. It's losing, right now it's flat, but as the market ticks up and down, you can see the real-time P&L right inside that box. If you wanted to set a quick target, let's suppose that I want to make $100 on this Bank of America position, you can use the P&L column to set profits and stops. If you click on the positive 100, take a look. I haven't clicked, but if you take a look at what's displayed there, it says sell 1,000 limit. So if I click here on this positive 100, that's my selling transaction right there. That box that you see right there in red, that is precisely my selling transaction if it reaches that level. Now I can do the opposite. Let me go ahead and cancel that target, and I can do a stop. If I click on the negative 100, I'm sending a stop with just one click of the mouse. Very simple. If you're interested in sending trailing stops, let me cancel out of this. Trailing stops are available right here on the right-hand side. Let's suppose that I want to do a trail, and I want to do it by 5 cents, which is the amount that is already in that box. The quantity is set to 1,000, and I'm just clicking on this red button that says Sell Trailing Stop. As soon as I do that, my trailing stop is right there. Notice that it was sent to at a price of 28.11. So if the price goes any higher than 28.16, you're going to see how the stop will trail as the market goes in your favor. Very interesting concept, and you can see the trail amount right in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some other things. If you wanted to change the trail amount, notice what happens if I click and drag. It changed the trail amount for you. So you can drop it maybe 5 or 5 more nickels, and you can see how the trail amount is now 10 cents. So clicking and dragging gives you that feature to change the trail amount for your stop as well. Now let me go ahead and save this workspace. Always get into the habit of saving your work. You don't want to lose any work that you've done on your TradeStation platform, so make sure that you save the workspace. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at a way for you to keep track of your account, orders that you've placed, and also positions. So let's go here and open up a new workspace. I'm going to show you a new application. It's called the Trade Manager. So go over to the apps at the top of TradeStation and open up your Trade Manager window. The Trade Manager window, let me resize it, provides information about when you enter the trade, when the trade was filled, the symbol in question, the type of action, if it was a buy or a sell. So this is a lot of information about all the orders that you've placed today. I'm just resizing some of these columns which are spaced out too far, and I don't see all the information that I want. So this is a collection of all the orders that you've placed today and the status of that order. Here's the order status. It's important that you take a look at the status because the color corresponds to the status. So you can see which orders are canceled, which orders are received. You can see that the received ones are the gray ones. So those are the ones that are working for you at the moment. Whenever I'm trading, I like to have a Trade Manager window open because I want to see all the orders that have been submitted, which orders are canceled, which orders are filled, and I also want to look at my positions. Notice that there's a tab right here at the bottom for positions. So when I go to my positions, I see a list of all the open positions in my account. I only have 2. I have Bank of America and I have FISV. You can see the quantity of each one of these positions and how much they're making or losing. Some of these columns are totaled. For example, if I look at the open P&L, you can see that it adds up all the P&L and it gives you a running total right here for the overall account. All right. Perfect. Okay, I'm reading messages about the screen being blurred a little bit. It could be due to internet connectivity. So just give it a moment and it should, pick up again. All right, so usually when it gets blurred like that is because of the quality of the stream just is downgraded because of connectivity somewhere between you and I. There could be an issue and you're not getting the full quality of the picture, but it should pick up. It should pick up and get better as we progress. Right here on the matrix, Let's go ahead and do another example. I think we have a few minutes, and I want to show you one more example. Let's talk about this for a moment. Ideally, and this is something that is for everyone that trades, you have a plan when you want to submit a trade, and you know exactly where you want to enter the market, and you may have an idea about when you want to exit the market. So you have a profit target and you have a stop loss. Ideally, you would want to send this trade all together, your entries with your exits, without having to worry about, I forgot to put in my exits, now I have to do them later. TradeStation allows you to send a trade called an OCO OSO, which is a all-inclusive trade where you have your entries, but at the same time, those entries have exits attached to them, so that you just leave the trade on and let it play out by itself. Let me show you in the matrix how you can submit a trade like that called an OCO OSO order. So I'm going to switch over here to my TradeStation platform and show you exactly how this works. Right here, I'm going to switch my symbol of this matrix to a futures. I'm going to do the S&P 500. I know there are futures traders in this class, so I'm going to use this as an example. And in this particular example, I'm going to use the Attach OSO button right here on the right-hand side. Attaching orders means that you can go to this drop-down and attach any of those brackets to an entry order. A lot of these are exit brackets, meaning that you have two possible scenarios. If it goes up or down, let's call it if it goes in your favor, you have a way of capturing some profits. But if it goes against you, you have a way of protecting you from losing more. So let's use the simple one, which is at the very top. It has one limit and one stop. You can change the default or the offset of these orders, how far away they're going to be from the entry order, or you can just use the defaults and then adjust them accordingly. Let me show you something here on the matrix. I'm going to submit an order to buy at 27.48. When I do click here on the buy side, take a look at what happens. Not only do I have, let me make a note here, not only do I have my buy order right there, which is the blue box, but I also have my profit target, which is right here, and I have my stop loss, which is right there. So whichever way the market goes, I already have an order in place for it to take care of that. Now, those orders that you see on either side are kind of gray because they're still waiting for the primary to get filled. But once I get a fill on that primary order to buy, those two orders, I'm going to call this 1 and this 2, will be activated and will be monitoring my position for me. Let me force that to happen. I want to drag my buy order, drop it in here where the sellers are. Okay, take a look. I got filled, and all of a sudden, these two orders that I was circling before are now red because they're activated. I got in, but notice that it happened automatically. I didn't have to submit those exit orders at a later time because it's an all-inclusive trade. It's called an OSO trade where my entry order has your exits attached. So this is more like a set it and leave it trade, and it's very convenient. Part of the TradeStation platform right here on the matrix, it makes it very convenient. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some other information. This is my trade manager, so let me save this workspace. I'm going to call this my trade manager. And let me show you some scanning tools here on TradeStation because I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to find these features very useful. Okay, let's go ahead and click on the tab right here at the bottom to open up another new workspace. And the scanning tool that I'm going to show you is called the RadarScreen. So let me go here to Apps and click on RadarScreen. Okay, this is my RadarScreen window. Let me go ahead and resize some of these columns. These are the default columns that show up on the RadarScreen. And you can take the cursor and put them inside the column headers just to see more information. If you're monitoring, multiple symbols, you can click on the column headers to sort the values. You can type the symbol manually. If you want to take a quick look at a quote, for example, I can type in Bank of America here, hit enter, and you can see a quick quote for Bank of America. Let me resize this radar screen. But very quickly, I can use the data button here, right here at the top, to add a symbol list. And I'm going to add something called the NASDAQ 100. A lot of you may follow that index, but what this will do is it'll add the 100 symbols that make up the NASDAQ index right here into my radar screen. Okay, and I'll do that. And you can see that it adds them to my screen. One thing that I want to point out right here in this radar screen is this interval column. Interval, we saw that in charting, right? Where you set up what the historical data is, or how the historical data is going to be displayed. This interval column here in RadarScreen gives you an idea of what this window is capable of, because it is capable of loading historical data for each one of the symbols that are here to do studies. So the same studies that you would do on a chart, you can bring them here into RadarScreen. Let me show you an example. I'm going to click on the plus right here next to interval just to add another study. And if you guys remember, at the beginning of the class, we were using a moving average two-line indicator, which I'm going to use again right here in my radar screen. I'm just going to add it right here in my collection of columns. I'm going to click OK. And here it is. Now, just keep this in mind. This indicator that I just added is the same indicator that you find in charting. Now, the value that you see here is the most current value for that line. But historically, this is calculating all those bars in this interval that you see here, 5-minute bar. Let's take a look. I'm going to open up a new chart. And I'm going to put this chart next to my radar screen. So I'm going to take this chart. I'm going to resize it so that it fits right here next to my radar screen. And what I'm going to do is, in this chart, I'm going to insert the same study that I have in my radar screen. So I'm going to go to Add Study. I showed you this at the beginning of the class. And I'm going to use the same indicator, moving average two-line. There it is. I'm going to use the up arrow key here to expand the view. All right, so this is where the radar screen gets very useful, because ideally, I want to find out of all the symbols that are here, I want to find out which one is crossing right now. I'm talking about the two-line moving average. In fact, let me make the symbols use daily bars instead of 5-minute. So let's do a daily scan. So I'm going to click on the symbol column header, go to the time frame button for my radar screen. I'm going to make these daily. Take a look at interval. Now the interval column says daily, which means that I'm using daily bars for the calculation of the moving average. And right here on the chart, I'll do the same. I'll go to time frame, and I'll switch this to daily. There it is. Let me disable account orders and positions. There we go. So you see Bank of America is not crossing right now. But which one is? We have 100 symbols here that we can cycle through to find which ones are crossing. But I'm going to let RadarScreen find those symbols for me. So for that, I'm going to link the two windows together. We talked about linking at the beginning. So I'm going to click on the S right here for my radar screen. You don't see the S right here because it's being covered by my camera. But I'm going to click on the S for my chart. And as soon as I do that, every time that I click on a symbol here, let's say that I click on Amgen, Amgen gets loaded right here in the chart. You can see the symbol. If I click on Amazon, you can see the same thing happen right here in the chart. You can see Amazon right here on the top left corner. Okay? So let's take a look at some of the things that we can do here in RadarScreen. All right, so I'm going to turn on an alert. And I can do that very easily by just clicking on the column header and editing the symbol. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to right click on the column header for the moving average, go to Studies, and click on Edit Moving Average Alerts for all symbols. Okay, right here I'm going to go to the Alerts tab, enable the alert, and then I'm going to use one feature here in the Alert tab that says None. This is for scanning alerts. This is for scanning alerts. This is for scanning alerts without messaging sender. So it means that we're not going to see sounds and we're not going to see any messages pop up on the screen. This is what this feature is called, is None. And it'll pretty much, show up on the radar screen as a visual alert. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, I want you to pay attention to this column right here that is happening, and you can see what I'm talking about. Every so often, I'm not sure if it's very clear on your screens, but you're going to see red markers. I've circled 2 of them. I'm not sure if they stand out on the screen that you have on your side, but when you turn on an alert for a column like this, you can see these visual markers right there on the column, letting you know which ones are crossing right now. And I can scroll down on this list of symbols, and I can see multiple symbols that have that little red marker. Now, ideally, what I'd like to do is filter this radar screen window so that I only see the symbols that are showing that red marker. I can do that quickly by using my filter drop downs right here at the top. So I'm going to go to the filter, select my moving average. I'm going to select here an operator, and I'm going to go to alert and set it to true. So this will only show you the symbols that have a true alert, and it'll be sorted at the top. But you can see out of the 100 symbols that make up the NASDAQ 100, I have 4 symbols that are triggering the alert at the moment. So I can click on any of these symbols and take a look right here on the right hand side. I have the 2 lines crossing as we speak. So I can do this other symbol, and you can see how the 2 lines cross. So this is a great tool for you to be able to find opportunities and find specific events that are showing up on any particular idea that you're looking for. So for anything that you're scanning for, you can always use RadarScreen, and RadarScreen will find those opportunities in real time. Now, if you're using a SIM account, you can always, the functionality is the same. So the functionality does not change if you are in a live account or a simulated account. In fact, I do recommend that if you're using TradeStation, you use it on the simulated account first so that you can learn the feature before you go into the live account and start using real money. All right. My colleague here has sent a link for an archive of this presentation. I know that I went through a lot of functionality here at TradeStation, so it's better just to watch the video, pause the video, practice the functionality, and then continue on. We also have several videos in the TradeStation University that you can watch. Just go to TradeStation.com. At the very top menu, there's going to be the university, and you can search for any of the functionality that is available right there to watch any videos. All right. Mixing intervals is something that you can do as well. You can do it in charting. You can create what's called a multi-data chart, in which you can have multiple symbols at different time frames if that's something that you want to do as well. Let me end the class by pointing out again that you're all invited to the TradeStation Masterclass. The TradeStation Masterclass is a 1-week in-person event happening right here in the headquarters of TradeStation, right here in Plantation, Florida. You're all invited to join us. I'm going to have my colleague again send a link to the masterclass that you're going to get shortly right there in the chat, and it provides you additional information of what the class entails and how you can register for that class as well. But everyone is invited. As I said before, it's an in-person class. Great time to come down to Florida and enjoy the beautiful weather we have down here. But let me just end this class by saying that it was a great pleasure spending this time with you, and hope to see you in a future event at TradeStation. Also, if you haven't registered for the class that's happening in about 30 minutes, click on the Register Now button below. It's a class on web trading and mobile apps. So thank you everyone for participating, and I hope to see you again. Goodbye, everyone.